Hey loves, it's Britt, and in this video I wanted to talk about natal sun opposite to Saturn because I've talked about all of the Sun Saturn aspects in the natal chart and I've missed this one, so we got to talk about it here today. So, the difference between the opposition and the square, or at least what I've found of these two planets in the natal chart, is that rather than being a very serious Saturnian personality all the time, in some cases they can be, but what happens here is that there's like a flip flop where sometimes these people are overly Saturnian, meaning, worrying and like, very focused on the details and very practical and very serious in nature. Whereas other times they're going to be kind of like abandoning their Saturn in a way, and they can be sort of unreliable or kind of reckless, sort of like rebelling against their Saturn and just expressing their self-expression, like expressing themselves and their light at all costs without any caution or without any restraint. So I found that there's kind of more of a flip-flop here with the sun opposite Saturn. Although you're not going to see that in all cases, sometimes they're just going to be as Saturnian as people with the conjunction or, yeah, the square. So, yeah, it's a really interesting aspect to have in your natal chart. It can show that there is issues with the father or with the masculine principle in general, as far as even in themselves too. So what that could look like or what that can manifest as is like having a hard time having like a clearly defined goal and sticking to it. So they can struggle with like their self-esteem and their confidence kind of going up and down and being unable to stick with that goal at hand. And then other times they might push themselves so far and push themselves so hard that maybe they accomplish the goal, but with a lack of joy or a lack of true self expression because they're just overworking themselves to the point of like total physical exhaustion. So you can see what I mean. How it's kind of like a flip flopping Sun Saturn aspect when we have this opposition in the natal chart. Now, another manifestation of this opposition is actually that maybe they themselves don't feel Saturnian, they don't feel serious, they don't feel practical, they don't feel, hardworking. But the people that they attract, especially for women with this opposition, are very Saturnian. Maybe they're Capricorn. Maybe they have a strong Saturn in their natal chart, right? Or maybe they are actually very cold to the person. I just drank a tea. I'm like getting so hot. I might have to open the window here. Um, yeah, so maybe the people in their life are overly critical of them. Maybe there was a father figure who was overly critical of the child, and maybe the child was trying to express their creativity. So the sun represents our light, and it's a big part of our creativity and self-expression and confidence. When we don't feel like we can express our sun, we feel blocked, we feel depressed, we feel stifled, and we can even end up having health problems. So, what can happen with this opposition is in the childhood, there was a parent figure, likely the father, it could have also been the mother, it could have been a grandfather or something like that, but there was someone there that when the child was trying to express their true self, the parent shut it down and was overly critical and, said, just get back to work, quit being a nuisance, like kind of like the belief, kids are seen and not heard, or yeah, like that kind of stifling, right, has been put onto this child. And so now, with carrying that unconscious belief that maybe is unconscious to them, maybe it's a bit conscious, but sometimes it can be totally unconscious, they go out into the world, and when they start to get a good sense of self-confidence, they start to really shine, they are met with opposition from, sometimes it feels like everyone that they encounter takes issue with them being themselves. And it's a reflection of what has happened in childhood. Okay. And that can take a while to figure out with this opposition, that the reason why, and it's not just people, although the opposition is the relational aspect, it does actually show up the most in relationships with people, but people with the sun opposite to Saturn can feel like the entire world is in opposition to them. That's what it can really feel like when we have oppositions of our sun. Like, it can feel like, we're just trying to be, and everybody else in the whole world has to come in. And with Saturn being opposite to Sun, it's like put us down, criticize us, block us. It might actually be that, like, every time we go for it and we seek professional success, or we seek to be seen, and we seek to, express our identity, right? Our ego. Every time we do that, something, some force, maybe it's time, maybe there's not enough time to ever be our real self, or maybe the people around us are overly critical, or maybe our husband is overly critical, or our wife is overly critical, or our boss doesn't let us be ourselves, or there's always something with this opposition. It's like every time we try to express ourselves, we feel blocked. Like, what I'm seeing is like there's like this huge, cement wall up, and we're on this side, and the rest of life and everything we want is on the other side. Now, people with all the Sun Saturn aspects can feel like that, but the opposition, and the other hard aspects, I guess, are probably going to feel like that the most. That, like, everything they want is on the other side of this cement barricade that is not able to be, torn down. We're just not strong enough. We're just not quite capable to take this wall down. And that's what it can really feel like. So this can feel really stifling. This can feel like a huge block. Harsh Saturn aspects to our sun and moon can be the aspects that destroy all the other potential that you have in a natal chart. It's definitely some of the hardest stuff you could ever deal with. But with that being said, it was worth separating the opposition from the square for these videos, because I do feel that the opposition is easier to deal with. It is more likely that we see problems in the outer world and other people rather than within ourselves. So I guess what I'm trying to say there is that while, yes, they can still struggle with self-worth and self-esteem issues for sure, because Saturn is harsh, it's almost like they have a bit more self-confidence than the people with the square, or even the conjunction, because of the relational energy of the opposition. Or it's if they're not projecting this onto the outer world, they're not just seeing it in everybody else, they are internalizing it. With the opposition, like I said, there's more of a tendency to flip-flop. So you have good days and you have bad days. You have days where the cement block is up and you can't get anywhere and everything is blocking you. And then you have days that it's not so bad, and maybe there isn't even a block there at all, and you can just go for it, and you're smooth sailing. And it's like, wow. So it's kind of like, yeah, there's good days and bad days with the opposition. But still, you have a serious personality. The way that you look at things when you have the sun opposing Saturn, it can be gloomy. You can expect opposition from others. You can expect to be thwarted in your every move, and that doesn't make for the most joyful person, and it might be something to cultivate here, some sort of practice to indulge in joy and indulge in pursuits that are not serious, that are not making you money, that are just purely for fun. And you know why you're doing that? You're doing that for your inner child. You're doing that for your inner child that got shut down by that authoritative person, and they didn't let you play, they didn't let you sing or write or create or make art or whatever it is that you wanted to do. They didn't let you be yourself. And now you're going to do some things. If you want to truly heal this split in consciousness, you're going to do some things purely for fun. You're going to do some things purely for you. Self-care, pleasure, joy, creativity, laughter. Laughter heals with this one. And if you can laugh at yourself as well, and laugh at your seriousness, and laugh at the way that you feel blocked by the entire world sometime, if you can actually laugh at that, energetically, you're going to break out of that darkness. You're going to break out of that gray energy, and you're going to break into your creativity and your joy, which once unlocked is really incredible, because you actually do have the power of Saturn here with your sun. So that means that when you do decide to express your creativity, when you let it out, you can be successful at it. You're not going to just do it first, you have to do it without any thought of making money, or without any thought of what other people are going to think of you. First, you do have to do that, okay? But because of the nature of this aspect, you won't do it like that forever. You can actually make something of your art. You can actually make something of your self-expression. You can make something concrete about your life. Like maybe you could even end up, there's so many examples of what could happen with this, and you could have many variations, but it could actually mean that what you do is actually very creative, and you have the structure and the groundedness to actually pursue that and to create something out of nothing, to create something tangible. Sun Saturn is really about creating like something rock solid, creating success in life. So yeah, it's an interesting one. Another thing that I wanted to say though is there can be conflicts with authority figures. That can be one of the big issues with the Sun Saturn opposition, is conflicts with authority. Now, it might be that you actually are resistant to any form of authority, and you're like, screw you guys, I'm going my own way, I'm following my own path, and so you're resisting that way. Or you're actually trying to be well liked or be seen in a respected way by your authorities or whatever, people that are above you. And for whatever reason, they always look down on you, or they never truly see you, right? Because it's almost like you're looking for that outside approval. You're not going to get it with this aspect until you can approve of yourself. This is like self-love first, self-worth first, and expressing your true self first, letting it out. Then other people will see and notice you, and things will be a lot easier with this opposition. So there's likely, like I said, there's a karma, or there can be a karma or a past life karma with the father, with the husband, in a man's case, in the man's case, it's more with like authority figures, or like the work or the job. There's karmic situations to do with the masculine in your life. But once you clear the karma, it can be a lot smoother. But there's lessons here to be learned. So I think from a past life perspective, when we have a Sun Saturn opposition or square or something like that going on, it could show that like maybe in a past life, and obviously take what resonates, leave what doesn't, but it could show that maybe you abused your power in a past life. You abused your authority, right? And you were in a good position and you put others down. And now you have to experience what it's like being on the other side. You have to experience receiving opposition from others, receiving sometimes even abuse from others, or you're definitely going to be receiving some harsh criticism from others at times, and coldness from the world and from other people. And if you think about it like that maybe, and you don't have to do this forever, once you learn the lesson, you can clear the karma and you can move on from these cycles. But maybe that's a bit of what's going on, is it's like sometimes you have to learn what it's like to be on the other side of things that you've done. Now, that might not be true in all cases with this opposition, but there is, Saturn is the planet of karma. And when we have Saturn in a hard aspect to Sun, that's our light, that's our authority, that's our leadership, that's our ego. Like, if we in another lifetime put other people down and, abused our authority, I think we might show up in the next lifetime with Sun or Mars opposing Saturn. You never know. So, anyways, something that I thought was funny just before I went on this video, I just Googled like celebrities with Sun Saturn opposition, and just the one that stood out to me is, so Jerry Seinfeld has this opposition in his natal chart. And the reason why I thought this was funny is because Saturnian people can be very funny. And like, if you think about the character Seinfeld, I know it's just a character, but like, I do feel like that it's similar to what his personality would actually be. How, often, and even if you think of the ending of Seinfeld, if you've seen Seinfeld, where, they're all being put in jail for all these things they've done over the years or whatever. And it's like the entire world, like all these people that he's interacted with over like the course of the show are turning on him and like, attacking him, putting him in jail. And I feel like that's so a couple of things, that's such a reflection of how people with the Sun Saturn opposition can feel, that the entire world is against them and recording every little detail, and now it's being used against you, and that's kind of like the karma of it, right? Not that I necessarily think it was deserved that they all got put in jail. It was just a funny ending. But and then also the way that, like, of course, he as a comedian, you laugh at yourself, and comedians have the ability to kind of pick things apart in themselves and others, and like with all Saturn aspects, you're gonna have that like critical eye, right? But anyways, it just that was funny to me when I thought of him having that. But yeah, I would love to know your experience of this aspect. If you have it in your natal chart, or you know someone who has it, you're with someone, I'd love to know your experience of it. And yeah, go check out my other videos. Now I've done every Sun Saturn aspect in the natal chart, so I'll add this video to a playlist with them all so you can refer to them. But yeah, I'd love to know your experiences, and thank you so much for your requests. Keep those requests coming to me and I'll add them to my list. Okay, love you guys, and sending you all the love with this aspect. I know it's not an easy journey, but it's purposeful, right? Okay, love you guys. Talk soon. Bye.